white people, powerful white people, rich and politically well situated, have made a grand mistake that I think that it's a continuing mistake that every set of powerful people have made. Um, Democracy and capitalism, they believe it's something that white people have come up with and saying that this is what works and it works. It's reliable, it's valid, it works every time and everywhere and so on. I think that's the biggest mistake they've made, and this could sink the whole shebang. I think basically whites have forgotten what God had said. He said, "Teach your children while they're sleeping, eating, walking, going through the gate, all over it. Always teach them the truth, and you'll save them." And they have failed to teach these guys the truth. They're telling their kids that, you know what, because your hair is blonde and you're tall and your eyes blue, that you're going to be the king. You're going to run this world. You're so powerful and you're smarter than everybody else. And this is what every civilization has done. When they're powerful, they think that they're God's gift to man, and so on. Another thing white folks tell me, say, like when I complain about the problems I'm having, and I say all I could do is pray to my God. They say, that's all you could do. You could only pray to your God. In other words, they have the guns, they have the nukes, they have everything, and it's like, we could do what we want. And this is what they did. The Europeans prayed when Africa ruled the world, when Babylon ruled the world, when Medo Persia ruled the world. They all prayed. These set here in Germany and elsewhere, England and so on, when the Greeks ruled the world, they prayed. When Rome ruled the world, they prayed for protection from the amount of problems they were having. And during the Middle Ages, things were so bad. Look as if the whole European collapsed. And up came the Christian Reformation. And with the Christian Reformation, they submitted to God. And they decided to work with God, a pledge that we will work with you, God, just like Israel. But, very subsequently, they were overrun. And they have already succumbed to it, and they just give up on God. So that they feel that, oh, we are so smart. We could have a secular society and everything would be great. What they fail to remember is that democracy and capitalism are tenets and are experiences, cultural experiences that come out of Christianity. And so when they moved away from Christianity, they were also moving away from democracy and capitalism in its orthodoxy. So at this point in time, what they're masquerading as capitalism and democracy, I think it's a far cry from orthodoxy. And it looks normal because this is where we're at. You find that orthodox capitalism and democracy is something like this. I'm going to be honest, I'm going to treat you fairly. You give me your money to invest, I'm going to take a reasonable return, and I'm going to do just what you said. No, that's not what's happening today. You give a guy money. Oh, here what happened in Canada. I met this guy, he had gotten $500,000 in, $250,000 in pensions, a lump sum money. And he told his friend, he said, man, I got this money, I want to invest it. His friend said, hold on, let me check somebody I know. He talked to his friend, and the friend told his friend that, look, man, if you get $250,000, we can give you 10%. So he went back and told his friend, yeah, man, I know this guy and invested for you, bro. So he got 25,000 straight up like that. And then his friend that he introduced and handed money to, they shared among themselves. So by the time the money went to work, it was like $200,000. And then they started sending them statements with all kind of mix up all of the page up numbers, and he couldn't even figure it out. So when he asked me to prepare the taxes, I was in Canada, I had a lot of experience in American taxes. I said, bro, this is just, your money going down some, almost a fifth, straight up like that. So that is not capitalism. And democracy, it's like this. You win, I'm happy for you, I'm going to cooperate with you as much as possible. I'm not going to oppose you and prevent things and then come back and say, look, he's failed when I cause you to fail. I'm going to give you my support, I'm going to work with you. And people of themselves would recognize that this man is supporting this thing and he's not opposing it. But did it work? No, it didn't work without this guy opposing it. And during the campaign season, The guy gonna sing for you. He's gonna dance for you. He's gonna show you how he's better than this other guy and how he could have done things better. And then you say, you know what? Let's give him a chance. And then the guy who lost is gonna work with him. Like in Latin America, for example, they keep treading the water and they keep going backwards because when this opposition tear up the government, keep it oppressing and sort of opposing everything else. When they become government, the now opposition will start opposing them, so burning down and shooting up and all this stuff. So they go nowhere. And now these same folks are saying, you know what, this thing is so great. Well, we have this democracy, capitalism. We're going to give it to the world. Now, remember what I said earlier, that this cultural phenomenon called democracy and capitalism were born in the throes of Christianity. Okay? So when Christianity is not there, I'm talking about the Bible and Jesus and God as the West knows it. This is it. Now, when you go to other parts of the world where people don't believe in the Bible, they don't believe in the Jesus that we do, they don't believe in the God the way we do, how can you expect them to have democracy and capitalism when you have rejected your traditional and reformationary zeal and so on, and having something that collapsing? I mean, it's not going to work. So I basically don't give a lot of credence to people who say we're going to make Iran a democratic and capitalist. It's never going to happen, bro. Why you waste your time? It's like people trying to make America communist. It's not going to happen. But Soviet Union experimented with democracy and capitalism, bam, it collapsed. I could have told Reagan it would collapse because Reagan had discerned correctly that the Soviet Union was an evil empire. And when evil dominates, how can you expect democracy and capitalism to work? Now, it was a good thing to cause the Soviet Union to collapse. But if you really, really put your savings on that, you're gonna lose it. And so Syria and Lebanon and even Israel doesn't have no democracy and capitalism because the way they profile people and so on, that's not democracy, and that's not the whole gamut of capitalism and democracy. In fact, they depend on foreign aid to survive, and all this talk, big power, this and that. Who knows who really does whatever? You see what I'm saying? So I have an idea. I don't want to say I have a dream like Martin Luther. And what about if we, without jumping in people's face, what about if we return to our roots of, believe in Jesus, believe in God? The Bible is the standard. Because when you look at our laws, they all reflect the Bible. Now, you mustn't kill, you mustn't steal somebody's car, and so on. I mean, things like you leave it, you don't covet your neighbor's wife and his house. Those are kind of like shady, because I remember some people go to grad school and teach them about hostile takeover and a variety of other things. And the bottom line is that you're envious of this guy's business success. You really want his clients and everything else, which is greed, greed, greed. You set up a way, block his finances, and then you end up buying him out cheap or whatever, and take it over, close down the business, sell the equipment, sell the land, sell the building, take the customers and do the production in your original facilities by just expanding marginally and so on. That's evil. You see what I'm saying? And I always would want to find out what happened to that business when he hostilely took over that guy. What happened to him? Did it survive? Did it grow? Or did it collapse? Because all those people put out to work and the guy sold it grudgingly. I mean, you have a lot of problems right there. So I think that nobody should try to make Iran capitalist and democratic. Not even North Korea, I think, could handle that. Now, if they merge with the South, maybe it's going to work because Germany didn't merge the East. And the dominant one was the democracy and the capitalism, and so they were able to fit in. But if East Germany was to say, you know what, we can stay East and we can become democratic and capitalist, they would have collapsed. Because it comes from experience, okay? And if folks start sort of abusing democracy and capitalism, then you know it's going to end. But I tell you what, yes, there is a system that democracy is going to be subservient to, and all these other things around the world. That is theocracy. and not necessarily anybody on earth saying, you know what, we all will worship God this way. I mean, we know we're going back into, ancient times right there. But when Christ returns, we all would have been fed up with what we call this democracy, this capitalism, and we can just go for theocracy. Because let me tell you real quick, theocracy works. It worked for Israel. There don't need to be any um, uh, recession and boom and bust and all this recovery and all this boom, bust and boom and so on, these economic cycles. Because you see, the other worlds that NASA and others are trying to probe, they don't have democracy and capitalism, they have theocracy, where God is the center of the whole operation. And you don't have to worry, nobody will want your wife, even though she's very attractive. In fact, all the women might be equally attractive. God could do that, see what I'm saying? And all the men are equally handsome and masculine and so on. So there's no need to envy. And then the real sexual prowess is going to continue forever. If I don't even know if they're into sex, because in the new world we wouldn't be into sex because I think we would have accomplished what we needed with sex. Sex was to increase the population to the number of which God wanted to replace the evil angels, and then we would have stopped and we all would have become angels. Wasn't that wonderful? We all could have been angels. Of course, we wouldn't have had all these different races because it's through sin we have all these different races. Okay, don't let me stray from the point though. But white folks got to come back and say, you know what, we slipping just like our democracy and capitalism. Let's go back to God. We're not going to force anybody to worship God. You do it your way you do, but this is a Christian country, America, and we're going to recognize, equally, like how if you allow us to have our Christianity in your country with no problems, you could come out here and have rights. We might have your special days and all that. Okay, you could holiday to go to whatever. But it's a Christian nation, and while we're going to allow you to do what you want, but don't ever try to make this pagan or whatever saying it's not going to happen. This is a Christian nation, and we're going to go back to respecting government. And when somebody has won the election, the conversation will be ended. And when people give us their money to invest, we're going to do it prudently, without scampishness and so forth. I think this is the lesson that white folks have missed and are forgetting.